Join me as I dive deep into the untold stories of the boys forced to serve in Rome. Can I uncover the hidden truths behind their struggles? In ancient Rome, amid the grandeur of temples, the roar of colosseums, and the splendor of emperors wrapped in purple robes, lay a truth too often buried beneath the glory, a truth of innocence stolen, of childhoods lost, of young boys thrust into lives of brutal servitude. This is not the Rome celebrated in textbooks. This is a Rome built not only by the swords of legionaries but by the small, calloused hands of enslaved children. They were the forgotten sons of empire. From the crowded tenements of the Subura to the remote provinces of the empire, countless boys were torn from their families or sold into bondage. Some were prisoners of war. Others were victims of poverty so deep their own parents had no choice but to give them up. Whatever the reason, the outcome was the same: childhood traded for chains. The demand that fed the machine. To understand their plight, we must first understand the machine that devoured them. Roman society was utterly dependent on servitude. Slaves were not a luxury, they were the backbone of every estate, every home, every operation. And boys, pliable and trainable, were particularly valued. These children were seen not as humans with dreams, fears, and laughter, but as commodities. Their worth was measured in sesterces, not sentiment. They were used as house servants, errand runners, kitchen hands, entertainers, farmhands, even gladiator trainees. In the darkest corners of Roman villas and workshops, their cries often echoed unheard. Imagine, for a moment, being just 9 or 10 years old, and forced to wake before dawn to sweep marble floors, polish silver, feed livestock, or fetch water for miles, all under the constant threat of punishment, starvation, or worse. Their small bodies often bore the scars of beatings, their spirits were bent under the weight of submission. A mother's farewell. One haunting account, passed down in fragmented letters, tells of a woman named Livia who sold her son, Titus, to a wealthy Roman in the hopes he might live a better life. She watched as he was led away, clutching a woolen toy she had sewn for him, his only belonging. Her grief never eased, and though her son may have survived physically, his soul was left to weather storms no child should face. Livia's tale was not unique, it was heartbreak repeated across the empire. Stripped of voice, stripped of choice. These boys were robbed of agency. They were owned. Their names were often changed, their languages silenced. Some were trained to serve at lavish feasts, forced to smile while their feet ached from standing for hours. Others toiled in mines, yes, children, working in choking darkness, crawling through narrow tunnels, breathing dust that would kill them before adulthood. The psychological torment was just as cruel. Deprived of parental affection, of laughter, of friendship, they grew up in emotional deserts, yearning for warmth in a world of cold commands. The system was so normalized that the cries of these boys became invisible to Roman ears. Their suffering didn't matter. Their tears weren't news. They were trained to be quiet, to be useful, to not resist. The silent architects of empire. And yet, despite their subjugation, these boys contributed mightily to the empire. They cleaned the togas of senators. They brought water to soldiers. They held torches during late-night rituals. Their hands built roads, cleaned temples, and raised the sons of patricians. They were everywhere, but mentioned nowhere. Their fingerprints were on the bricks of Rome, but their names were missing from its stories. History remembers emperors. It forgets the enslaved boy who fed the emperor's horse. Moral dissonance, the cracks begin to show. There were, however, whispers of dissent, faint voices questioning the morality of this practice. One such voice came from Saint Jerome, an early Christian scholar who condemned the abuse of children. His writings contain searing passages about the cruelty of forcing innocence into labor, about the deep wound inflicted on both the boy and the society that tolerated such horror. Jerome's words weren't always heeded, but they mattered. They were an early call to conscience, a tremor in the stone wall of Roman indifference. He wrote not just with intellect, but with fire, a fury born of empathy. A society that enslaves its children, he wrote, is cursed to devour its soul. And Rome, for all its greatness, was beginning to rot from within. Hope in the shadows. Among the tragedies, there were flickers of hope. Some boys were freed by kind masters. A few rose to become educated scribes, or even freedmen. One such case was Marcus Felix, a boy born into slavery who gained favor through his intelligence. He was taught to read and eventually became a tutor. His letters, discovered in Pompeii centuries later, speak of longing for his mother, for freedom, for a world without chains. In one heart-wrenching line, he writes, "They say Rome is eternal. But I am only 12, and I feel already that my time has run out." The long road to change. Change came slowly, painfully. The empire's decline weakened its grip on such practices, and Christianity's growing influence gradually introduced the radical idea that every soul had worth. It would take centuries for real reform to take root, but the seeds were planted in the blooded soil of these boys' sacrifices. Their struggle forced future generations to question the price of civilization. What good is art, architecture, and conquest if it is built on broken backs and stolen childhoods? A mirror to our modern world. As we reflect on these untold stories, it becomes clear the past is not just the past. It speaks to us, judges us, warns us. Child exploitation did not end with Rome. Even today, in factories, fields, and war zones, millions of children suffer similarly. The ghost of the Roman boy still walks among us, asking, "Have you learned yet? Or are my tears still invisible?" The story of the boys forced to serve in ancient Rome is more than history, it's a haunting echo, a sob carried through time. And it calls on us not to turn away. Final reflections: remember their names, though we never knew them. They had names once. They had mothers who kissed their foreheads, dreams of chasing birds in the countryside, songs they hummed before sleep. But history erased them. So today, let us give them a voice. Let us remember them, not as slaves, but as children. Let us speak their truth, so they are forgotten no more. Because if we do not remember the oppressed of history, we risk becoming the oppressors of the future. Are you as moved by these lost voices as I am? Then don't let their stories fade again. Share your thoughts in the comments, your voice can help carry theirs. For more powerful and emotional journeys into forgotten corners of the past, don't miss my next video, The Secret Lives of Women in Ancient Sparta, Warriors, Mothers, and Rebels.